Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
And we are Autosave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching My Hero Academia, Season 6, Episode 13. Mirio is back!
He's back,
baby. We also got the introduction of Gemgd, which is an abbreviation for Bakugo's name, Dynamite, or more specifically, Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. And I think Ida likes it. It's a keeper.
Yeah. But I think once Ida recognized him with that name, I don't know if the name hit the same way to Bakugo after that.
Look, I've been there. Things sound really cool in your head sometimes. And then when you say them out loud in front of a group of people.
Or when your most nerdy classmate says it out loud, then you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I've been there. It's rough. But I am excited to see where we're going to go. I imagine we're heading towards a place narratively where we break up, right? Where we go our separate ways and kind of regroup and damage control, you know, gauge how much we've lost.
Yes, both for the characters in the story and, heroes and villains. You know, they both need to regroup. I mean, obviously, saying that is really weird because obviously we want the heroes to win, but the villains definitely need to regroup if they're going to make any sort of dent now that we especially have Mirio back.
Yeah. And again, I love Mirio. I commented last episode about the introduction. If you care to listen, check that out. But I'm happy he's back. Mm-hmm. All else, considered. I am wondering if Mr. Compress is going to go above and beyond plus ultra here to get the villains out. I didn't expect to care for their side as much as I do when they got like a Yusei run playing at the end of last episode. I was like, oh my god, you know what? I do kind of want everybody to go their separate ways, get like 100% healed, and then come back and like fight it out with all the cards on the table, you know?
I mean, honestly, one of the entertaining values of this show is the hero and villain fight. Mm-hmm. And everyone's kind of injured now, and I don't know how epic a fight where no one really has energy to fight would continue to be in order to beat the villains. And I want the villains to go out with a bang. I want them to be beaten in the most, like, amazing, maybe even cry for them in a weird way moment. It's just so epic. And I think that time has already passed with the energy and the mood that's happening in the show.
I completely agree with you. Because I'm not going to lie, though. I was feeling it ramp up like it could, but at the moment,
we had Dobby's dance, and, that felt really good. But everything that's happened since Dobby's dance has really felt like, okay, they're going to... This was a big reveal.
Interaction,
This was a big interaction, and... the dust is going to settle now. Let's see what and honestly, Dobby's dance was more for, I think, what the reception by the general public is going to be of the heroes after this. And I think we need to see that, with the villains still being alive and kicking.
You know what? It's interesting because, sure, they could have just, like, had the final battle here, I guess. But then that would mean that we never got to see the world of My Hero Academia at its worst, at its lowest. And I am kind of excited in a really messed up way to see that.
Or see Deku get all of the different quirks.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, things are really starting to heat up, but no more.
Let's go.
I thought that he was going to get eaten.
Yeah. It's a great line.
I'm nervous for Deku to go to the hospital and be told anything about his arms after this, honestly.
God. Final performance.
Dobby's closest to his dream, I would say, out of all of them.
We're gonna learn some more about Compress here? What?
Oh, so they don't like any people whose quirks make them look inhuman.
So this is before My Villain Academia for sure, but this is so interesting. Before they could have sushi.
He's sacrificing himself.
To my bloodline. Oh, what?
Don't think you're the only ones risking your lives.
That wound is fatal. Oh my god! It's like Robin Hood.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You want to watch his face.
Great grandson.
The blood of the Bandit King.
Yo, he kind of looks awesome though. Escape show. I am loving Mr. Compressed, to be honest.
I didn't think he was gonna be hot under there, you know? Like,
I love the whole backstory with his like lineage.
so good.
So good. Oh god. Master Driller! Danger sense. Like the Spidey sense?
Like, but is it just sensing danger? Like, is there any...
Mirio, let me monologue. He's holding on to Mirio. Oh, if he's gonna put it on his face. The music. You could see decay starting from him. Or more quirk, everything.
I was gonna say, Mirio just got back. We're not gonna decay him. His danger sense is tingling.
Oh no. All for one.
The more his heart holds on to it. They're all waiting for orders. The skin flaking off, like, oh.
And the black hand on his face, like charred looking. Jesus.
手するのは俺たちの本領。見捨てるのか仲間を。井口君。井口君って。トムラは負けたんだ。ワン・フォー・オールとエンデバー。カイゾーが途中で目覚めたから肉体再生が追いつかないほど痛めつけられる。だから僕が助けに体を休める必要がある。仲間を見捨てるのかって聞いたんだ。ああ、見捨てる。潔く差し出そう。すべては僕のデスプロターボ。そして緑谷君と爆豪君。
They need it really bad.
ヒーローの本質だ。10日の個性か。ゾロゾロと。
Jesus.
さあ、行こう。
Oh my god.
That was cool.
Oh, not this song. Don't do this to me.
Wow.
I don't know if it was intentional, but they picked a certain part of that song that the lines that come next are not "Don't worry about a thing."
Completely purposeful.
Does that mean Midnight died? We didn't see her in the hospital and we just saw her mask bloodied.
God, to use that song but to not have the uplifting part of it.
It's fucking defeating.
Like, and just to go into instrumental piano.
Whew. Okay, that was My Hero Academia, Season 6, Episode 13. That was a really good episode. I was hooked
what
the entire time.
Be, I guess, for a good episode for what would you want if the villains are going to get away?
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. And I think that you and I came to the consensus, like, that's what we wanted to happen, because, like, that's just the tone. That's how it felt. Oh my god. I did not expect this backstory or, I guess, motive from Mr. Compress. I loved it. It was so cool. I liked that it comes from a place of a gray area. And I love gray area in media and like the whole idea of Robin Hood.
I mean, like, as kids, there were movies, if everyone remembers the Robin Hood with the fox, you know. Like, I remember watching that, and that was definitely, maybe that's like a little too much for kids to like fully understand, is that idea that, you know, thievery or violence could actually be a justice for all, or a helping hand for all, and maybe that is right, just, fair. Fair is one of the words that Compress used.
It depends how you tell the story, because there are a lot of different interpretations of Robin Hood. And depending on
protag, antagonist.
Depending on what age you are, you depict it in a different way. If they're bad, mean people who have all the money and making the good people die and starve to death, that's a very easy to digest at any age, you know, type of story. But once you get into like the nitty gritty of like interpolitical society, then that they kind of took a little bit of a step here, to my surprise. Asuhiro, like the lines that he was saying about his great-great-grandfather Oji Harima, like the way that he was making it out to be was this like legacy of change for the better of
social
humanity. Social reform. And I thought that like it was such an interesting route to take with a character who is dying currently.
There's been no characters that give you like a Light Yagami from Death Note kind of feeling. And to have that, I mean, it's in that kind of Robin Hood aspect. Like, no one asked you to be like, take this on yourself and try to be the change or make the change.
Yeah.
and maybe the motives or the things that you do in order to achieve that change are probably heavily contested in whether people think it's just and right and fair or appropriate.
I don't necessarily believe Shigaraki is the best road to that, but I enjoy it being Mr. Compress's, like, history or lineage, you know?
I mean, honestly, it's probably the closest. I don't know. I think if his great-great-grandfather hadn't already been the villain route, then Compress might have actually been a hero that was trying to, like, reform, like, from the inside. But I think because of the legacy where someone along the path already chose kind of the path to be against the grain and to fall in that villain category, and maybe be this vigilante. And that does come with spotlight, people are noticing you, attention, fits with kind of like Stain, you know, like, and I think because that route was already chosen in that what attention was, I obviously, like, look at OG, like, jumping out of the building.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a smile. He's like, haha, yeah. There is, like, this vigilante kind of, it's not like he is humble about what he has done.
You
or,
know
like,
who
this
he
was
reminds
right
me
just.
of? Like, I wonder if Stain is part of this bloodline. Like,
that'd be interesting.
The smile is very prominent, and the whole idea of going after the false heroes who use their positions to line their own pockets. If Stain was not influenced from OG in the first place, I would be surprised.
Cool, though.
It would be amazing.
Cool
like, I would love that.
Because then we also have Spinner here in these same conversations.
Exactly.
Spinner's inspired by, and
it has to be intentional,
I mean,
right?
I mean, it's intentional that they're all coming in the same time of the story and being talked about together.
Yeah.
But it would be like even next level if
I wonder if that, because Mr. Compress, the first time we saw him was after the Stain recruitment, right? And I wonder if that was like, it reminded him of his great-great-grandfather. But I love that whole idea. I definitely didn't need it, but it was something that I really enjoyed. He distributed the money and items he stole in the streets and wanted social reform.
I did not think I was ever going to see Mr. Compress without, like, the getup, which I've always thought was kind of lame. Sorry, dude. Very performative, magician-esque, and I was very happy that at the very end there, I mean, that dude was getting rid of parts of his own body.
He gouged out his own body to escape. That is fucking awesome.
I mean, we've
So cool.
seen a similar thing happen in this entire battle, is these both, and I think Compress said it, don't think you're the only ones risking your lives. And this whole battle, we've seen heroes, and now we're getting an major example from a villain of willingness to harm your own body in order to achieve. Like Mirko, obviously with Aizawa, it was way more like evident, like he cut off his own limb.
Yeah.
So this idea of pushing yourself to the point of like it almost sacrificial. Like if you can get one more attempt in, then that could seal the deal, even if that means that you die.
Yeah. I didn't expect the whole information drop of the Creature Rejection Clan. CRC. I totally believe that would exist in the world.
Totally. I mean, obviously when people were first being judgmental or weird about quirks, when quirks first popped up, and then obviously it became the reverse of that, is now then the majority had quirks. I've always said that I was like, how do they walk around and not think anything weird of like Gang Orca? That's literally like an orca walking down the street. Especially
if quirks like they haven't been around forever, you know? Like I understand that there's probably a lot of like,
and it makes sense that moving to the city, there would be more of an acceptance to people that look majorly different, especially creatures. Countryside's old-fashioned against the creatures.
So that kind of took me for a loop. Master Driller.
They identified him as a lizard. They weren't even like, that's a human that looks like a lizard. They're like, that's a lizard.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Fuck them. They suck.
Yeah.
I hate the CRC.
They literally didn't have any money. They, like, no one wanted to join them.
Yeah.
They were just
Rightly so.
pitiable, like, sad, miserable. They just wanted to hate something, and they didn't even have any money.
I'm so happy that we got to take a trip to the past to watch them get annihilated. I'm pretty sure Master Driller is dead. It's a tough loss. He looks like he took out a Nomu at the same time that he was crushed.
There's, in Class 1B, there's, I think, the kid that can, like, turn his limbs into drills or something of the sort. And I was like, I wonder if he, like, does his work work studies with Master Driller.
Dude, we've gotten 2 new quirks this fight from Deku. Float and Danger Sense.
Danger Sense, I'm kind of like...
They're just making him into Spider-Man.
I don't know how I feel about Danger Sense at the moment.
Super strength, Black Whip, fly from, off buildings, float, better advantage with Black Whip, and then Danger Sense, Spidey Sense.
The reason I'm nervous about the Danger Sense is entertainment value. If Deku's always getting headaches that warn the viewer and him the danger's about to happen, what will that do to surprise elements or suspense elements? So I'm wondering how that'll be handled in the future.
Like Spider-Man,
yeah.
It doesn't, depending on the writing, it doesn't just do a disservice at all. You just have to handle it a little differently. Like, in a way, it was suspenseful when Shigaraki first woke up and Deku was the first to realize, right? Mm-hmm. It was interesting then, and that was an example of Danger Sense, and that, in my opinion, it opens up the Peter Parker route of this show in a good and a bad way, because in a predictability sense, it's not great, but I do imagine him being able to use Danger Sense in real time in a battle, and that's just like the next version of it, and him being able to use it to dodge. And that's a little predictable because it's Spider-Man, but like, it's still really entertaining.
Yeah, the Black Whip now with Danger Sense.
Yeah.
Partnered up.
Yeah, Black Whip out of your mouth. I still can't get over that. That is something that I cannot believe is happening. It's
I mean, if it hadn't been... Okay, it'd be weird, and I don't know if I would have liked it if there wasn't a character that inspired him to think that way.
Yeah.
That it's perfect because there was a character, and because we've seen him training with his friends and trying to learn how to possibly prepare for these new quirks based on using what his friends know from their own quirks.
God, it would be so difficult to... Imagine the life of the fourth user. You have the power of one for all.
Do you just stay home?
Well, like, honestly, you have this. It wasn't something that was like, oh, we're gonna pick the best of the best. It was something that they were trying to pass on. You're given one for all. You don't have super strength, presumably. All you have is super anxiety, but everything...
I was about to say my Danger Sense is my anxiety.
Yeah, but like, it's actually gonna happen. It's like legitimate anxiety, and that sounds like an awful life to live. Yeah. Especially...
I mean, I would know if I could, like, walk to my car in a dark parking lot without being, like...
But you're also the one being hunted, too, so it's like, out of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the worst possible... I don't know, situation. But getting towards like the halfway, towards the second half of the episode, once All For One, it took the body of Shigaraki, I wrote down Saving Shigs - Dream. Because like before Deku had the line of it, I was thinking, okay, well, it's been stated that Shigaraki is his own person and doesn't want to have control. I don't think that there's any room for redemption for Shigaraki, but I still think he could be saved.
Right.
And I think that's what Deku might think.
I think we both made sure to write something down about kind of the situation of All For One taking over Shigaraki here.
Yeah.
I wrote that All For One says a line here that is, this is for his sake. He says, this is for my sake. And as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, like, that's so gross. Like, that the self-centeredness of, like, he's not even caring about Shigaraki. Shigaraki's just, like, the pawn to get him the mission furthered for his sake. When Shigaraki wants so bad for this to be his will and his mission and his ideas, and he's trying to fight for it to be that way. That he says, this is my power now. And that's how we got it with Deku too, is both of them are like, this is my power.
Exactly.
Like, move over. And All For One's like, heh.
Well, that's what's great about it, right? Both of them, like, for better or for worse, both of them are living through the will of other people and doing what other people, and taking on another person's personal vendetta, and trying to finish out their mission.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, it's for the overall betterment of the world, just because it happens to be. But at the end of the day, Deku has said this to many people, and I believes himself. It's his quirk, not theirs. It's the person who is currently wielding it to make the choice what to do with it.
Because there's boundaries there in terms of how how invested, how around the other, vestiges are for Deku. They only really come out, especially in pinnacle moments. And what do? They talk to him. They show him something. They don't take over his body.
Yeah.
They try to warn him about things, or they come in and they be like, hey, you're going to get my quirk next. Make sure you're not angry. Make sure you're ready for it.
True, but it's still, I could imagine a period of time that Deku's like, okay, shut up. Yeah, I'm doing this to beat All For One, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm beating All For One to save people, and I'm beating All For One for the betterment of the world, not because of the petty fucking, brother vendetta,
Well, now there's the element of wanting to save Shigaraki. I mean, if you add that element of, we're already connected with the two brothers, and you're right to say, is there ever going to be a point where Deku is like, I need to save me and Shigaraki from having to be pawns in order to finish this business between two brothers?
Yeah.
Both of them are in that position where they are basically continuing on a fight between two brothers that has been going on for a long time now.
Obviously, like how Deku said, he can't really be forgiven. He's killed these people. I think that the saving thing's an option, and I wonder.
Reminds you of Uraraka to Toga.
Yeah. I wonder if there's ever gonna come a time where Shigaraki is like, well, I'm gonna do what I want, and then the inevitable, I'm gonna decay myself, would come into play as the ending.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Shigaraki went a route of not wanting to be around anymore.
Because if he had to make the choice between giving up his body for All For One or making that independent choice, and just it was his choice, I think that's what he would probably end up choosing.
If he can't fight the control that's over his body anymore, I don't think he would want to live if he was still being controlled by someone or pigeonholed by someone, kept in a cage by someone. Not anymore. And I think what's interesting is All For One says that as long as Shigaraki holds his past so close to his heart, that's how All For One has control over him.
It would help him. It strengthens All For One, which is bizarre.
Yes, it gives Shigaraki anger. Obviously, that's what Spinner was hoping would happen by putting the hand on Shigaraki's face.
Yeah.
But what is so interesting there is that Shigaraki's not the one that wakes up.
Yep. I kept trying to look at the EKG machine.
To see who's gonna live through this?
Yeah,
they all look the same.
No, they don't. Gran Torino, his heart rate's 53, whereas everybody else's is 55.
Oh, I was just looking at the lines look the same. I didn't see
the lines
there were
do
numbers.
Look the same, though.
19, 20, 18, 20.
But
I don't know what any of those things mean.
Most of them are in pretty bad condition, but it looks like they're going to pull through in a medical sense. But
is that a good thing?
But no, narratively or what? I don't know.
I mean, yes, no, I don't want them to die because I want them to die. It's narratively.
But also, can we trust these EKG readings? Are they put in just to fill space, or are they accurate? Because I'm going for accuracy. Yeah, I'm trying to diagnose these people from their readings, and I don't know if I can trust them.
I think someone needs to actually die.
I think it's Midnight.
Other than Crust, with the thumbs up, but I think you're right. Honestly, Midnight we're not shown. Mount Lady we're shown, but she has some sticks in her butt, You know, it's not like she
I could
doesn't look
I could
dead.
see a joke being made there.
I that's why I said it that way.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're very right. With like everyone's bodies we see, even the ones that are in the hospital now, everybody we see, Fat Gum. Like we see.
We don't see what's
the
his
body
name?
with the magician guy.
Yeah.
The witchy magician guy
Mystic
that like
or
sends
something?
all the kids away. We just see the hat, which is a little bit the same note as Midnight's Mask.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't like alone and like soloed out. What was his name? I wanted to see more of him.
No, I don't know it.
Not like
Majestic something.
Majestic or something.
Majestica.
I don't know. Majestic there.
Majestic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of knew it. It was in the back of our heads somewhere in there, and we just needed to like
It was in my notes.
sift through and find it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that theory that for Midnight, because we don't see, I mean, all those other times that we've gone back to where Midnight is, we've seen Midnight's body.
Yeah.
But for some reason, right then, we do not see Midnight's body.
Yep. I don't know. I really enjoyed the episode, though. I was kind of getting fearful that on the come down, they were going to kind of lose me, but this is pretty good. I'm interested to see what happens next.
I was nervous about the whole, like, okay, we know the villains are going to get away.
Yeah.
That's kind of what needs to happen narratively for, you know, to see the aftermath and see the change and the devastation to how the public views heroes. I mean, we've seen it get worse and worse every season. So we need to see the aftermath without it being a victory. We need to see aftermath with a failure.
I, like, on one hand, I'm like, I can't believe how much the League of Villains has, like, lost here, right? Or the Paranormal Liberation Front. But I can't believe it, but at the same time, they are definitely leaning into the point that they don't fucking need anybody else at this point. All they need is Shigaraki. Right.
So that leads me to the question of what's going to happen to the villains that are still alive that Shigaraki is going to... Not Shigaraki, I guess All For One, because All For One's in Shigaraki's body right now, making the decisions. What happens if Toga doesn't get back, you know? Like...
Prison. Or going out alone and living alone.
Is that a thing? Like, is Shigaraki gonna either just do the rest of this story by himself? Is there going to be new recruited villains?
Okay, what if it's manipulation? What if it's, so I was going to say, oh, yeah, maybe that, but what if, Shigaraki wakes up and he's healed, and he's like, fuck the master, I don't follow his will, I want my team back.
That could
and
be
the
cool
master,
if he wakes up right now after hearing All For One say that.
But the master knows, like, All For One knows that was what Shigaraki would do, and in a roundabout way, maybe All For One's trying to get Shigaraki to break him out of prison. Like, by breaking his friends out of prison, if they're caught.
Maybe. I mean, we have to know that All For One's being manipulative in some sense, obviously.
Yeah.
So... Unless this means, like, All For One is just going to be taking over Shigaraki's body for the rest of every episode.
I don't think so.
Coming in the future, which could maybe be good in terms of Deku wanting to save Shigaraki if Shigaraki's now pushed consciousness to the back.
Yeah.
And doesn't have control over his own body. That would further Deku wanting to save him even more, I think.
My, like, instinct would say that the more damaged Shigaraki is, the easier he's to control. So I think that if he heals up, he'd be able to get control again.
That makes sense.
But I am very, very worried at what the reception's going to be, because I can imagine how it's going to play out, and I'm just going to sit here being like, oh, this sucks. Like, just hearing about all the death, seeing everybody be like, you failed us. Like, that's going to be sad to watch.
And then you accidentally pulled up a still from the outro that has Midnight very, very far in the background.
Yeah.
Kind of hazed over. Possibly alluding to Midnight being dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
God. Okay. That was a really cool visual, actually.
I
don't think we've ever watched the outro,
I don't think so.
Like, Dobby's hand is on a photo of Endeavor, and then he, like, sets it ablaze. It's just... And turns into a flower. Do you see that? And then it looked like the flower that Endeavor remembered that his wife liked. I don't know. All right.
The last thing I want to say is that I am incredibly nervous for seeing what the public's reaction is.
Yeah.
I remember when we were all watching, you know, the fight on the big screen, like in the city,
Kino
and
Ward, yeah.
Deku, Bakugo, we're all looking up at the screen, and I remember hearing like the whispers that people were making. I remember feeling like very uncomfortable and upset when people were whispering against the heroes.
Or like Endeavor fighting the Nomu. It's like, we don't have a symbol anymore.
Yeah, and so I am incredibly not excited to get upset when I hear the public. I mean, Look Kid or Look Guy is all Look Boy. I almost got it. He's already devastated now after this. I don't think he's going to be out there in the streets being like, I'm the Look Boy, remember that.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, because each of the other times that it's happened, it's been doubt that has been vanquished at the face of a hero.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to vanquish doubt here.
No.
There is certainty that doubt is legitimate and it should be there. That's scary.
Yes.
God. All right, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.